On the I Love CVille Show, a glorious Thursday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. Today's show is pretty busy, man. We've had some quality content for you. I think it's compelling commentary and content for you on our 12:30 slot. We had the president of the Lake Monticello Homeowners Association respond to our show yesterday, calling in the statement that he sent. In the statement he sent to Lake Monticello homeowners, he referenced unofficial social media shows. Unofficial. Is he throwing some shade at us here?
Could be.
Unofficial social media from Lake Monticello President Larry Henson. We offered some commentary on the $646,000 Paycheck Protection Program loan that Lake Monticello pursued in the depths of COVID. $646,000 is nothing to sneeze at. Interestingly, that $646,000 went to a 501c3 nonprofit. Paycheck protection loans in 501c3 nonprofits. That's a no-no. But who's wrong here? If a nonprofit is able to secure the loan, are they at fault, or is it the folks issuing the loan that's at fault? Another question I have. The $646,000, if that money does not go to actual paycheck protection and it goes to other things, amenities, services, is that what the money was intended to be used for? Not saying it is. I'll read the statement to you here in a matter of moments on the I Love CVille Show. Regardless, it's a news story. Is it a nothing burger news story? Potentially, because there's 4,300 plus homes in Lake Monticello. And if they had to do a special assessment, it would come down to $150 per home, the special assessment, roughly $150. So you basically have to weigh the scales of justice. Should I take this free, easy peasy money, $646,000, at the risk of potentially having to ask each of our homeowners to pay $150 down the road, if it ever comes up that we're a nonprofit securing the money, or if it ever comes up that maybe it did not go to paycheck protection? If it didn't go to paycheck protection, that gets in a different area, ladies and gentlemen. It gets in a different area. It's a different area. I'll read the statement here on the program. Very interestingly, our IP heat map shows quite a bit of heat in the Fluvanna County area on our IP heat map, which I'm looking at right now. All right, I want to talk about the city of Charlottesville. I love Charlottesville. I am able, and you are also able, do not allow anyone to say this to you. You are able to hold the jurisdiction that you live in, whether it's Albemarle County, whether it's Fluvanna County, whether it's the city of Charlottesville, the neighborhood you live in, whether it's Lake Monticello, whether it's Bel Air, whether it's Belmont. You're able to hold what you love dearly accountable. Hold it accountable in the toughest regard, and still absolutely love and adore whatever you're holding accountable. And trust me, I would know. My wife is the textbook example of this. She's watching the program right now, and there's no one that holds me more accountable in life than my better half. I know she loves me, but she is a tough accountability partner, and I respect that about her. I would need that with a better half. If I've had other partners in my life that did not embody that mindset, and you know, with my personality and with my type A, full speed, kind of tenacious approach to life, I can steamroll through people. So having that accountability and that pushback is something that is I have found as I've matured as a man, that is something that I started to look for in a partner. Initially resisted in what I was looking for in a partner, but that was more a reflection of me. What I needed was that accountability. So I want to caveat that. You can hold Lake Monticello accountable, live within the gates of Lake Monticello, and still adore Lake Monticello. I can hold the city of Charlottesville accountable, like now utilizing this platform and say, why is Charlottesville City Hall not telling us, the taxpayers, how much it is spending on this upzoning pursuit, on legal fees, on fighting a lawsuit? Why do we not know an exact number, a real-time number, when people are asking about that? We'll talk about that on today's program. What we'll talk on today's show, ladies and gentlemen, he called it Normandy Beach on yesterday's interview. Jerry Cox, the talented Esquire, UVA law degree, Princeton diploma, decades practicing law, talented Esquire, said for the Lewis Mountain neighborhood, 303 Alderman Road is our Normandy Beach, Judah. Mm-hmm. Them fighting words, right?
Yeah.
That's the definition of fighting words. We'll talk about that today and play some sound from two clips of sound from yesterday's interview. We'll talk Ron Sanchez securing the best victory in his UVA coaching career. And people are like, Jerry, come on, dude. They played Miami. Miami was dead last in the Atlantic Coast Conference. What do you mean this was the best victory of his UVA coaching career? Well, folks, it is his head coaching career. Outside of that, he had never had any true road wins. He had neutral site wins, but no true road victories until he beat Miami and Coral Gables last night. And he beat Miami and Coral Gables last night without Andrew Rohde and Elijah Saunders playing. He beat the Hurricanes last night on their home floor with guys that got limited minutes up until that matchup, specifically Tane Murray. And how about Isaac McNeely blowing kisses to the Miami crowd while dropping some of the most beautiful three-point shots from downtown. I mean, it was just a wonderful performance. And then we'll talk robot news. There's an artificial intelligence startup that's not even based in CVille, that's using AI to scour and crawl other news sites, then taking the content from other news sites, rewriting them. I mean, this is like the 2025 version of plagiarism. Rewriting them and then passing them on as their own, and then asking for people to subscribe, donate to their model, donate money to their model, and then pursuing advertisers for ad positions on the website. I mean, if I'm a guy like Sean Tubbs, and if I'm the team like Charlottesville tomorrow, I would be infuriated with what is being done. I'm going to ask you, the viewer and listener, is robot news, artificial intelligence news, infuriating or intelligent? The future or soon to be a piss poor afterthought? Is it sophisticated or the definition of plagiarism? We'll unpack that on today's program. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, Judah, 60 consecutive years of business. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply on East High Street, online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. Andrew Vermillion, the man's a baller, always looking good in the row back. Andrew Vermillion knows sanitary like the Pope knows holy water. And John Vermillion, the best sideburns in Central Virginia is John Vermillion. John Vermillion knows apples like the Carter family over at Carter's Mountain knows apples. I mean, he knows it inside and out, right?
Apples?
Sure, I kind of butchered that simile. John Vermillion knows sanitary supply like the Carter family knows apples. That was better. Sorry about that. Regardless, Vermillions are A-plus people. Support the businesses you want to see survive 60 consecutive years. I want to see these guys do it. Seriously, guys. All right, Judah Wickower, two-shot. I'll give Wickower props. Ginny Hu, thank you for the retweet. Viewers and listeners, I don't ask you for money. I don't ask you for subscriptions. I don't ask you for anything. All I ask you to do is to hit the like button and to share the show and engage with the program. It's literally free for you to do that. That's the only thing we ask for this program. Joanne Mackey of Keswick watching the program. Holly Foster, you got a care package going your way. Is YouTube? YouTube is up and running, Dennis. Dennis says YouTube's up and running. It's up and running now, Dennis. Yep. Holly Foster, nothing but love for you, Holly Foster. And a care package going your way, Queen of Henrica. The interview yesterday, I'll give you props first, was with Jerry Cox. You set him up on Skype. You connected the software. At that point, you got, what? 1, 2, 4 pieces of software, and God knows how many social media platforms all married to each other, integrating, complementing each other at the exact same time. So props to Judah. He didn't have a time, an opportunity to offer commentary on yesterday's show. That's to my disappointment and the viewers and listeners' loss. He will have an opportunity to offer commentary today. I have some sound that I want to play. The first piece of sound, I'll set the stage. This is the Princeton graduate, the UVA Law School graduate. This is Jerry Cox, the decades-long talented attorney and a Lewis Mountain resident, talking about the city of Charlottesville and why or how it's not releasing the money it's spending on trying to roll out upzoning, the new zoning ordinance, one of the most radical zoning plans in America. One of the most radical ones, right? You got an idea that was put into play by a small fraction of Charlottesville, the Gillikin gang, livable Charlottesville, activists, bullying elected officials, underpaid and overworked, often not the most sophisticated, into a plan. What, you don't think I should have said that? You think that's, Judah, are you on a two-shot? What, I shouldn't have said that? They're not often the most sophisticated on all topics they're covering. They're relying on staff. You don't think that's fair to say?
I think it's probably fair.
I mean, is that not fair? Leah Puryear was part of this in the bottom of the ninth inning when Cedar McGill dropped out.
Yeah.
Puryear was thrown into the fire in the bottom of the ninth inning to vote on upzoning. Lloyd Snook is a criminal defense attorney. Brian Pinkston's a project manager at UVA.
Yeah.
Doesn't Michael Payne live at home with his parents?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he does. Natalie Ostrin is a wedding and event planner at Pippin Hill, pushing $250,000 and up weddings. We are not talking about real estate aficionados. They're pushing a plan that was pushed upon them by a small group of people. And now sophisticated people, nuanced individuals, are saying this plan is backfiring. You either rolled it out the wrong way, you're getting literally sued. City of Charlottesville is getting sued here, right?
Yep.
Other jurisdictions have gotten sued and lost, Arlington, and nothing has materialized.
Yeah.
And the proof of performance, the project that was going to be the bellwether, is that the right one? The project that was going to be the flag waiver, Alderman Road in Lewis Mountain, 303, purchased by a local builder and developer, Evergreen, for $835,000 in the summer of last year, is now under a microscope, under scrutiny so significant that Evergreen has had multiple attorneys try to go to bat for their effort of bringing 6 Brownstones to market. We broke news yesterday that covenants and restrictions from generations ago are now a key leverage point for the Tony, prestigious, and affluent Lewis Mountain neighborhood as they fight, and what I would imagine is legal representation potentially provided damn near pro bono by Jerry Cox to keep the Brownstones from materializing. On tomorrow's program, we will talk about the city assessments that just came out. Data sent to us by number one in the family, Deep Throat. He shows us charts from Charlottesville's city assessment assessor portal. And some of these charts show the Star Hill neighborhood, the 10th and Page neighborhood, the Meadows neighborhood. Do you have that chart?
Yeah.
Oh, Judah, gosh darn, you're playing well today. You're 2 for 2 at the plate right now with the single and double, with the cycle on the near horizon with 2 at-bats remaining. Put that chart on screen. The Meadows neighborhood, the Star Hill neighborhood, the 10th and Page neighborhood, and thanks to Deep Throat for putting this on the radar, showed the largest increases in city assessments, Judah. We're talking the neighborhoods, Judah. Hear me out. We got that on screen?
Yeah.
Guys, look at the boxes that are the highest on there. I know it might be a little challenging for them to read, right?
It might be. And what is the...
This is residential assessment change 2024 versus 2025.
Yeah.
So Meadows, Star Hill, and 10th and Page. Historically black neighborhoods, historically financially margined neighborhoods, and the most affordable pockets of real estate in the city of Charlottesville, 10.2 square miles, saw the largest delta, the most significant delta, 2024 versus 2025, with Charlottesville city assessment increases. Tell me why that is. I know you got this, Judah. You're 2 for 2. You got a single and a double.
What's the question?
You're coming up to the plate. You're coming up to the plate with a potential triple and a cycle, a 4 for 4 outing in the big leagues in the box score. Why did 10th and Page, why did Star Hill, and why did the Meadows neighborhoods see the largest uptick in assessments year over year?
I'm guessing because they had the most to gain, not only in lower starting.
Keep it real simple. Keep it real simple.
But also because they're far easier to tear down and build over.
Hot damn, Judah Wickower just hit a triple. 3 for 3 at the plate. Why are the most affordable pockets of the city of Charlottesville popping the most from an assessment standpoint? Because since they rolled out this ridiculous new zoning ordinance, the most affordable pockets are the ones that are potentially being targeted by people that want to tear them down or keep one unit and build 3 additional units on there and maximize their profits.
Yeah.
They are not doing it in the wealthy neighborhoods because they're too expensive to purchase.
And they're also not making affordable housing.
Judah Wickower's on point today. There it is, Judah. So the plan is legitimately backfiring. It's raising the tax base on the neighborhoods in the city that are least likely to be able to afford the tax base, the tax uptick or increase.
Yeah.
This ain't North Downtown, y'all. It's not Barracks Road or the Blue Ridge neighborhood, y'all. Mm-hmm. It's not Rugby. It's not the Tony and prestigious pockets of Belmont. It's the historically, financially margined neighborhoods that saw the largest uptick in assessments. Another indication that the plan is a fugazi. Not worse than being a fugazi. Not just a fugazi in just pea-brained. Pea-brained. Jerry Cox, get that sound ready to go. He straight up said, why? I'm a taxpayer. Judah's a taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer. Cox is a taxpayer. Viewers and listeners, you're a taxpayer. Even if you don't live in the city of Charlottesville, if you shop in the city of Charlottesville, you're a taxpayer. You have a right to know. He says, why do we not know from the city how much they're paying on fighting this lawsuit? We don't have a city attorney right now. We're outsourcing that to a third-party high-dollar firm. Why don't we know? Do you got that sound ready to go?
Yeah.
Give it to me, Judah, in 3, 2, and 1.
Charlottesville is different, but for the who knows how much Charlottesville has spent so far. There is a lawsuit in Charlottesville. The city has spent a certain amount of money, and they won't even disclose how much. They won't tell their taxpayers how much of their money they're spending to oppose people who don't want to see this happen. And as you said earlier, the 303 Alderman project really is, I mean, for the people who are behind this is their Normandy Beach. You know, they are going to, live and die on how that turns out. And it really is the best possible indication of the biggest problem. And that is that the city council did not require, with this upzoning ordinance, they didn't require any sort of independent evaluation of whether infrastructure anywhere in the city can handle these massive multi-story brownstones that are being proposed for that lot on Alderman Road. And what you're going to see, or what you could see, we don't have any indication that you're not going to see it, is sewage backing up in people's houses.
All right, that's Jerry Cox right there, Managing Director of Forerunner Foundation. Even more impressively, a Lewis Mountain homeowner, a Princeton alum, a UVA Law School alum, and a man who's been practicing law for generations. I was booking during that sound. We have a 3:15 phone call with some clients who are looking to sell their business. So I need to set a reminder. I will send you an invitation. I'm doing that now. Reminder is set, 3:15 p.m. All right, now back to the show. You can hold the places you love accountable for what they're doing while still loving them. My wife does it every day. There's no one who holds me more accountable than her, to the point of, sometimes some frustration. But for the reason, or for the focus of wanting the family unit and one of the key contributors to the family unit, yours truly, to be the best version of himself. And she does it with a motivation of love. We can hold the city of Charlottesville accountable in the same regard. What are you doing with our money? It's not yours. And why aren't you being transparent with what you're spending? Why don't we know how much you've spent so far on this fight? Now, a second piece of sound that I found intriguing yesterday, and then we'll go to the next topic. The second piece of sound that I found intriguing was the breaking news that I expect television, radio, and print to highlight in its news cycle. Daily Progress, CVille Weekly, NBC 29, CBS 19, Charlottesville Media Group, Monticello Media. You should be covering this right now. You're watching. Cover what I'm saying here. There's covenants and restrictions in the Lewis Mountain neighborhood tied to the type of development that can happen there. Those covenants and restrictions, posiblemente, which is Spanish for
possibly,
flew under the radar of the group that purchased 303 Alderman Road, a brick rancher that was damn near a tear down, if not put significant money into it to bring it up to today's standards, for $800 and some thousand this past summer. Those covenants and restrictions. Another client just texted us. Did you see that?
Yep.
That very persistent client right there. But we love that client, though.
Yep.
Those covenants and restrictions are now being utilized to fight the development of this house. What they want to do is build 6 brownstones and sell them each for $1 million or more. Is $1 million or more affordable, Judah?
Not for me.
Is the upzoning plan creating affordability, or are they creating maximized profits for developers? I'll leave you, the viewer and listener, to answer that question. So, after uncovering these CNRs, they're using the CNRs in what they are calling their proverbial Normandy beach to keep this project from materializing or coming to reality. And so far, nothing has happened with the project outside of a little pushing of a broom into a dustpan inside the house. Play the sound from yesterday, which is breaking news, that Lewis Mountain is going balls to the effing wall fighting a local developer about building what they call not true to the neighborhood, million plus brownstones times 6. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Judah Wickower, 3, 2, 1. Start to the interview. Jerry Cox, our guest of the Forerunner Foundation. He's the managing director. I'll offer a little color on what he's talking about. 303 Alderman Road, purchased by a local builder development firm, Evergreen Home Builders. They paid $835,000 for 303 Alderman Road in June of last year. This was a single-family detached brick rancher. Now, the upside of this single-family detached brick rancher, and it was a home that needed a lot of renovating, folks, but it was a corner lot, and it was a primo lot in a coveted, Tony, and prestigious neighborhood that was in close proximity to the university. I do not fault Evergreen for seeing opportunity. I'm a businessman who capitalizes on opportunity every day. They saw a new zoning ordinance that allowed this home to be torn down and 6 luxury brownstones to be built in its place. Brownstones that likely would have traded with an asking price well over $1 million per brownstone. I have been told, and maybe this is some intel that you could provide, that there may be, because you're speaking with a lot of confidence when it comes to this project, and this project not coming to fruition, Jerry. A lot of confidence. Would you care to offer why you are speaking with such confidence? Why this project will not happen? Are there any covenants or restrictions in place that could potentially keep them from materializing this project?
There are, and the neighborhood has put them on notice that we will go to court to enforce that. This will be independent of the issue about whether the zoning ordinance that they're relying on is ultimately declared to be void. I think it will be declared void. The judge in Arlington didn't agree with everything that the Arlington homeowners presented, but he did agree that the ordinance was void. And I think the same thing will happen in Alexandria, because in Northern Virginia, all 7 circuit court judges, the regular judges in those circuits, recused themselves. They realized it would be unethical for them to rule. And so a retired Fairfax County judge heard the Arlington lawsuit and decided that the homeowners were right. And when the Alexandria judges recused themselves, the Supreme Court appointed that same judge. And the issues are really the same there, and the issues are the same here. The only thing that we lack here is a judge who does not have a conflict of interest.
So we got a little bit of breaking news there that's not in the Charlottesville ecosystem here. Covenants and restrictions on 303 Alderman Road that the neighborhood, Lewis Mountain, will leverage to prevent the development of the 6 Brownstones. All right, Jerry Cox, ladies and gentlemen, Lewis Mountain resident, managing director of Forerunner Foundation, Princeton graduate, UVA Law School graduate, and generations of practicing law, decades of practicing law in some of the most esteemed courts, before some of the most esteemed judges. Probably looking at the guy that's going to be offering some pro bono services, if not significantly discounted services for the neighborhood. Right there. Next topic, Judah Wickower. Got to go Lake Monticello, right? On yesterday's program, with old media watching us, and a lot of Lake Monticello residents, they call them Lakers, I think. We talked about an PPP loan, a Paycheck Protection Program loan, to the tune of $646,843. A loan the Lake Monticello Owners Association applied for in April of 2020. The SBA, Small Business, was that the SBA? Is it the Small Business Association? I should know that. Doing a quick Google search. Is it the Small Business Association? Small Business Administration. Granted forgiveness on the loan in May of 2021. But not so fast, my friends, in the words of Lee Corso. The Lake Monticello Homeowners Association and its roughly 4,300 households may be on the hook for the $646,843 loan it secured during COVID. The president of the HOA issued a statement yesterday in response to our show yesterday, sent to homeowners, sent to Lakers at Lake Monticello. That statement was forwarded to me by nearly 50 homeowners. And I want to unpack that statement, but first I'm going to set the stage. Lake Monticello received a notice from the Department of Justice in mid-December, this past December, that the HOA would not be eligible for loan forgiveness. And then they asked the association to resolve the issue, that means paying it back, before we have to sue you. Now, Lake Monticello's, this is a crazy effing story. Now, Lake Monticello, ladies and gentlemen, is having to figure out what it's going to do with $646,000 plus of exposure. The insurance company that covers the association, as of now, is picking up the tab for the legal fight, covering the attorney fees. How much longer that goes, who knows? All of us have questions. Why is an HOA asking for Paycheck Protection Program loans during COVID? Doesn't the money that comes from the PPP program go to the covering of employees' paychecks? Hence the name Paycheck Protection Program. The $4,300 homes in the neighborhood, they kept paying their dues during COVID. So if the 4,300 homes keep making their HOA payments, why do they need the loan from the government during COVID? I'm trying to keep this in really simple terms, right?
Right.
Homeowners in COVID paid their dues to the association. Why is the association board asking for PPP money when they really don't have a break in cash flow?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Now you can make an argument perhaps some revenue was lost because they weren't doing as much sales in, say, like the snack bar at the pro shop, or they weren't selling any Callaway Big Bertha drivers, as many at the pro shop, or as many Snicker bars at the pro shop, or some Reese's Pieces, and some coffee, and some Twix bars, and some ho-hos at the pro shop, because less foot traffic was going inside to places during COVID. But last I checked, homeowners association neighborhoods boomed during the pandemic. Why did HOA neighborhoods boom during the pandemic? Because they offered outside amenities for folks who were required to stay at home. Why did Glenmore go out of control crazy in prices during COVID? Because Glenmore had walking trails, had tennis, had golf, had swimming. The activities that you could do outside. If you've noticed, the Glenmore real estate market has cooled significantly since the insanity of the pandemic. Significantly, the price points have cooled down. So I'm kind of confused here, and I'm going to try to put this in perspective for you, the viewer and listener. Okay, on one side of the perspective spectrum, there's $646,000 divided by 4,300 homes, and you got roughly $150 a home if a special assessment has to happen. If they have to pay this money back, they're just going to go to their homeowners and say, give us $150, we got to pay this back right now. We got the one gang in the world that you don't F with. You know the number one gang in the world you don't mess with? It's not the mafia. It's not the Bloods or the Crips. It's the effing federal government. You don't F with the federal government. I'd rather F with the Bloods and the Crips or the mafia than the federal government. So before they F with the federal government, you can just say, homeowners, we need $150. We can actually do this special assessment. It's in your documents. You approve this. Now here's the question, and then you jump in. This is what I really want to know. Okay, this is a question, and then I'll get to Big Larry's statement that he issued in response to our show, calling us unofficial. I sent him a friend request. Big Larry, you can come on the program if you want. You can come on the program if you want, Larry. Larry Henson, happy to host you. This is the question I have, a question that needs to be answered. You ready? If the HOA dues were coming in, which they were, why did they need the loan? Was the $646,000 loan used for anything besides paycheck protection? Was it used for anything besides paycheck protection? And if it went to something besides paycheck protection, what do we call that? I'll leave you, the viewer and listener, to answer that question. The next part of the question is, this is a 501c3, a nonprofit. The nonprofits weren't supposed to be the ones that are applying. And dude, a lot of sketchiness was happening during Paycheck Protection Program.
No doubt.
People were opening up fugazi companies and getting PPP money. The effing Los Angeles Lakers got PPP money. The Los Angeles Lakers, ladies and gentlemen, a basketball organization valued at many billions of dollars. You have some commentary, then we'll get to Larry's statement that was sent to us by 44 homeowners in Lake Monticello. Judah Wickhauer.
I'm just curious where the money went. If they if if they're having to present a special assessment to the 4,000 plus residents, that means they must have spent it all, right? Because
Yep.
they don't have it to give back. So are there
Where did the money go?
Are there receipts? I mean, you would think that an organization like this would have a receipt for $600,000+.
Very fair question. Very fair question. I'll read the statement. It's about 5 paragraphs. and Larry, this was sent to us here. Good afternoon, Lake Monticello community. As your board president, I would like to update you on the PPP loan forgiveness. In the spirit of continued transparency, the statement below was shared at last week's regular board of directors meeting. There has been ongoing discussion on unofficial social media, specifically that guy Judah Wickower, who's always wearing those zip-up sweaters on the show. I added that part. That's not part of the statement over here. All right,
This isn't zip up.
let me read
I'm offended.
Okay. Let me read the actual statement. I'll start from scratch. I won't F around. This is the actual statement. Good afternoon, Lake Monticello community. As your board president, I would like to update you on the PPP loan forgiveness. In the spirit of continued transparency, the statement below was shared at last week's regular board of directors meeting. There has been ongoing discussion on unofficial social media. That's him throwing shade at us, by the way. But ongoing discussion on unofficial social media regarding the potential repayment of the PPP loan. We understand that this situation raises questions, but we kindly ask our residents to hold off on any premature conclusions for now. Being a proactive board, we are preparing for all possible outcomes. All possible outcomes. I would say all possible outcomes, these are my words, is potentially paying the damn money back and doing a special assessment. I'll continue with his words. But we want to assure you that a special assessment would be Lake Monticello Owners Association's very last resort, and it's not something we want to consider. I also want to share that Lake Monticello Owners Association utilized the PPP loan funds in 2020 and 2021 as intended to maintain operational continuity and prevent employee layoffs. I want to know, these are my words, if the dues were being collected, which they were, why did they need $646,000 to prevent employee layoffs? That's a fair question. Is that not, Judah?
Yeah.
Okay, he continues. Once we receive notice of the loan forgiveness, we remove the obligation to repay it from our books. Future budgets and spending plans were then developed based on the assumption that these funds would not need to be repaid. What does that mean?
It means the money's gone.
Yeah, the money's gone. They don't have the money. That's what that means right there. The money is not separately reserved. Like any business, potentially having to cover a significant unplanned expense in the near term will impact our planned spending going forward. We are actively seeking ways to achieve savings, implement spending cuts, and explore other measures to offset the potentially financial impact of any loan repayment if it comes to that. Our goal is to identify alternatives that will help minimize the overall effect on our members through future cost savings initiatives. And then he goes on with some other stuff. Larry, you should come on the show. Come on the show, Larry. Love to host you. Be a fair and open-ended question interview. I have these questions. What did you use the money for? And why did you need the money if dues were still being collected?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. That question should be asked directly to the board. What did you use the money for? And why did you need the money if you were collecting dues on rooftops in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Right? Very, very straightforward. Every Lake Monticello resident should be asking that question, and that's why it's being sent to us. All right, next question. Judah Wickower, what do you got? Next topic.
Let's see. AI robots.
Okay, I'm going to spend 90 seconds on this. The website is morningsharlottesville.com. morningsharlottesville.com. And morningsharlottesville.com is a news organization that uses artificial intelligence and robots to pump out content. Artificial intelligence crawling other media outlets, taking their content, rewriting it, and pushing it out as their own.
I mean, it's hardly new. It's not like he had a novel idea.
Who's doing that well?
I don't know about well. I didn't say anything about well, but one could argue that there are quite a few news outlets now that are using Chat GPT to.
Okay, Sports Illustrated does that 100%. Sports Illustrated's a perfect example of that. Sports Illustrated does that.
Yeah, I'm not accusing anyone, but I'm fairly certain there are more than just a small handful of news outlets that are using ChatGPT or some other AI generative software to take some input of information and churn out, and some of it's just like crappy e-magazines.
I mean, I would say in some cases this is what some of our TV stations are doing, where they're just taking press releases from nonprofits and from organizations like the Chamber and the Charlottesville Police Department and just publishing them directly verbatim.
I mean, TV news has never been a bastion of
intellectual coverage,
independent thinking,
in-depth coverage.
I'm sure most of us have by now seen those videos where it starts with one news station and then goes to multiple other news stations, all parroting the exact same words, until you've got a literal chorus of dozens of news stations all side by side saying exactly the same words. So this is just the newest version of that, basically.
Okay, there you go. So Judah says this has been going on forever.
Yeah.
This has been going on forever.
I mean, we certainly see the other side of that in wonderful people like Sean Tubbs.
I would say if I was Sean Tubbs, I would be extremely pissed off that this is happening. A one-man operation that is like grinding, creating intellectual, sophisticated, nuanced content. Mm-hmm. Sean Tubbs is crushing it, doing great work. He's now getting banner placement on infocville.com. Needs some work, Sean. Cuts it chase. I mean, let's get a media kit out there and let's improve. I mean, basically, he needs somebody like us to monetize the brand. He's good at creating the content. The business side of it is that's what we do really well. Okay, but his content is second to none.
Yeah,
second to none. Mm-hmm. And this type of company, this startup, is going to basically crawl his content, steal it, change some words, and push it out as their own, and then utilize artificial intelligence and robots to get subscribers and potentially secure ad banner placement. And they could frankly go with the Google ad partnership program and utilize their ad inventory on their website and just generate as much traffic as possible on their website and just sell a CPM, a cost per thousand, a cost per click. You can make money doing that, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. We do that. And you're just putting Google ads on your website and churning traffic. Mm-hmm. And if they do that, I mean, is that the future of news? Time will tell. I'll close the program with this. Ron Sanchez secured his best victory to date. He played without Andrew Rohde and Elijah Saunders. And Virginia beat Miami. Yes, they were the last place team in the ACC. Okay, it's all about perspective. It's a glass is half full sometimes in life. But they did it without Saunders, and they did it without Rohde, and they did it in convincing fashion. The defense was tough. The offense was lights out. Isaac McNeely was blowing kisses to the crowd, and Tane Murray had a career night. So congratulations to one of the really good guys in the business that's coaching for his life, and Ron Sanchez for securing a victory last night. For Judah Wickar, I'm Jerry Miller. So long.